get on into the first thing I'm gonna talk about, which is your FICO score. So your FICO credit score is the score that most mortgage lenders are going to use when they are approving you for a mortgage. And this is used by over 90% of the mortgage industry, at least this scoring model is. And this is how it's broken down. So as you can see, 35% is payment history. 30% is your amounts owed. So I'm gonna pause right there really quick and say that your payment history and your amounts owed, that's 65% of your FICO credit score. That is a huge chunk. And one of the things that forms your payment history, or the biggest impact on your payment history, is just your ability to make on-time monthly payments for whatever debts you have that are listed on your credit report. So making sure that you don't have any late payments or missed payments, anything like that, is really just going to have the hugest impact on your FICO credit score. So going down from there, you know, the payment history amounts owed, you got 15% with the length of your credit history, 10% with your credit mix, and then 10% also with your new credit. That's when you're opening up new lines of credit. Obviously, if you have your credit pulled, that also can drop your score as well, but that formulates, you know, 10%. So I don't really harp too much on people having a mixture of different types of credit. The reason being is because it does help you out. That is 10%. And so all the percentage points that you can get to help build your credit score is great. However, what I tend to try and have individuals focus on is that payment history, because that is what's going to have the biggest impact, followed by your amounts owed. And ideally, you want to keep your amounts owed at 10% or less of whatever your credit limit is. So let's say you got a credit card with a $10,000 limit on it. Keeping that credit card charged to $1,000 or less of that $10,000 limit, which $1,000 is 10% of 10,000, is really going to help you out a lot and help you maximize utilizing that credit. So you want to try and keep that thing charged. The charges that you keep on there are the balance, the outstanding unpaid balance on those credit cards. You want to keep them low at 10%. If you can't do it at the 10%, at least try to keep them at 30% or less, because that at the 30% mark or less is still helping you out. But if you're starting to max out those credit cards, get them close to the limit, charged 80%, 90% maxed out, or even worse, charged above the credit limit, that's where it's really hurting your credit score. So you want to try and keep those things paid down. But that's how you see the breakout. Again, credit mix 10%. And the credit mix is just the different types of credit that you have. So that means that if you have a credit card, that's one type of credit. That's also known as that's also known as revolving. You have two main types of credit: installment and revolving. Revolving is credit that you can charge up, pay it off, charge it up again, like a credit card. Installment is credit that once you charge it, or once you pay it down, rather, you can't charge it back up. So let's say a car note would be another type of credit, and that's an installment type of credit. Once you pay that car off, you can't charge money back up on that car again like you can a credit card. So that's the difference between installment and revolving. Revolving, as you can imagine, it revolves. You can charge it up, you can pay it off, charge it up, pay it off. But installment, you start off with however much you borrow, and as you pay it down, that's it. You don't charge it back up anymore. You have that thing paid off eventually, and that's it. So that's what credit mix is the different types of credit. Do you have a mortgage? Do you have a car note? Do you have credit cards? Do you have a home equity line of credit? Those are the different types of credit in your credit mix that you can have. So length of credit history, obviously, the longer that you have credit, if you can get credit 3 years or more than that 3-year time frame, then you're really doing yourself justice in terms of helping out your credit score with that 15% that you can get, because the longer that you have credit, the more that it helps you. And that's one of the reasons why, if you have a credit card that you don't use, don't close it out. The best thing to do actually is to use that credit card for something small, maybe one of your subscription services that you have to Netflix, or a subscription service that you might have to something else. Or maybe you just, set a reminder in your phone, you go out and you buy something at the store for $20, and then once it reports to your credit, you pay it off. Just utilizing it, once a month or every so often for something small can really help, because if you have that credit card and you've had it for a long time, even though you don't use it, the only way that it helps you is if you utilize it. Because if you close that credit card, that decreases your length of credit history, particularly if that credit card had a long history on it. And so, excuse me, so keeping that credit card open is what's really going to help you to build your credit and help you with that credit history, that length of credit history. I used to have a credit card, personal story, that was from a bank, and I had it. It was my longest credit card that I held, but then I ended up starting to bank with a different banking institution, and I opened up a credit card with that one. Stopped using the previous credit card. I did not close it. However, I went long enough without utilizing it, and if you go a long enough time without utilizing a credit card, the banks will actually close that credit card for you. So it will show in your credit report as being closed at the grantor's request, meaning that whatever credit institution granted you the credit card, that's the one that initiated closing that credit card. So I didn't have a balance on it. I didn't have money charged to it, nothing like that, but it just had a zero balance, but it was just sitting there and I wasn't utilizing it. And again, that was the credit card that I held for the longest period of time. I did not know then what I know now, because if I had known then what I know now, I would have made a small purchase on that credit card every so often just to keep it open, because having that open would have improved my length of credit history, thereby improving my credit score as well. My credit score is still very, very good now, but just some little things that can help you if you have those credit cards that are going unused. Maybe it's a store card. I have seen individuals who've had credit cards that they haven't used in 6 months, haven't used in a year, or multiple years. And I tell them, hey, go and purchase something small with that. Let it report to the credit bureaus, pay it off. And they do that, and all of a sudden they see their scores jump up 40 points, 60 points just with that one thing, because there's this thing on your credit report called the date of last activity. And if the date of last activity is reporting the last day or month, really, that line of that trade line item, that credit line item on your credit report had activity on it. So if the last time you used a credit report, or the last time that you used not a credit report, the last time that you used a credit card, or the last time that you used whatever, that store card or whatever, was a year ago or 2 years ago, it's not helping your credit score out as much, because that date of last activity is not recent. But if you purchase something recently, as in like today or tomorrow, and once your credit card reports to the credit bureaus again, now it updates that date of last activity, which means that, okay, now this is reporting more recently, and that's something that can help out your credit score with helping you being able to improve that credit and ultimately helping you to get all of the benefits that come with it, which we're going to dive into shortly here. So what's killing your credit? We talked a little bit about it. Late payments is one thing that's definitely killing your credit. Missed payments is another thing. So the difference between late payments and missed payments, obviously a late payment is your credit card was due on the 15th and you paid it late. You paid it after the date that it was due. So that's a late payment. Missed payment is you missed the payment. You did not pay it at all. So you might have a past due balance on your credit card or on your car payment, car note, or your student loans, even if you're making payments on your student loans, because you missed a payment. And so when you miss a payment, now let's say you missed August. Now we're in September. So September's payment's coming up, but you haven't paid August. So you missed August and you need to make that one up. Maybe that's listed in a past due amount column, and that's something that's hurting your credit score as well. Collections, charge-offs, and inaccurate information. These are all things that, can hurt your credit score in varying amounts, obviously. One thing I'll say about collections, recent collections hurt you a lot more than old collections. If you have a collection that's been on your credit report for a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, that is not hurting your credit as much as a collection that popped up 3 months ago, 6 months ago. So the more recent that collection is on your credit report, the more that it's hurting your credit score, or the more that it's affecting your credit score. Same thing with charge-offs. And then what I'll say about inaccurate information, there are so many individuals that have inaccurate information on their credit report, and one of the common things I see when I'm viewing credit reports is inaccurate information when it comes to addresses where people currently live or where they used to live, or even addresses where people never lived, but those addresses somehow show up on people's credit report. Well, one of the things that the not federal, but one of the things that the credit reporting agencies, also known as credit bureaus, but in the federal laws, they're actually referred to as credit reporting agencies. One of the things that credit reporting agencies are tasked with is reporting accurate information. And so if you have information on your credit report that is inaccurate, you need to get that corrected. You do not want inaccurate information sitting out there on your credit report, because when you go to apply for a loan, whether it be for a car or for a mortgage, you want to give yourself the best shot at not only getting approved, but getting the best rates possible. And so with that, you want to make sure that any inaccurate information that's out there gets corrected on your credit report. And you can easily go to the credit bureaus and make sure that you can write them a letter or contact them, reach out to them online even, and make sure that that information gets corrected. So moving on from there, how to improve your credit. Go to this website, like screenshot this, take it down, go to this website, annualcreditreport.com. This is the only site authorized by the federal government where you are entitled to at least one free credit report every single year. And since the pandemic, annualcreditreport.com has actually been allowing people to get a free copy of their credit report up to once a week, which is a lot of credit reports. If you want to pull your credit report, 52 times a year, you could. But at a bare minimum, at least once a year, you should be checking your credit report to make sure that all of the information that's reported on there is accurate. And you'd be surprised how many people, you might be one of those people who don't do this. So let's change that now. Let's make a habit of, hey, I'm going to go online tonight, today, tomorrow, this week is not going to go by without me going to annualcreditreport.com and pulling a copy of your TransUnion, your Equifax, and your Experian credit reports. You want to see all of the information that is on those credit reports, and you want to go through and make sure that all of the information is accurate. And the reason you want to pull all three is because those credit reporting agencies don't talk to each other. TransUnion is not talking to Equifax. Equifax is not talking to Experian. Experian is not talking to TransUnion. They do not communicate with each other. So you might have inaccurate stuff reporting on TransUnion that's not reporting inaccurately on Equifax or Experian, and vice versa. So you want to pull all three and look at all three reports to make sure that all of the information on each report is accurate. Make sure that your address is accurate. Make sure that your name is spelled accurately. That's a big thing that I see with a lot of people who go to apply for a mortgage, is that they have previously gone by a nickname, or they've got, several other names that they're known by. Maybe they applied for a car loan under a different name, or that name was inaccurately reported to the credit bureaus, and now it ends up on their credit report. Whatever it is, now that ends up being a stumbling block for people when they go to try to buy a home, because now they're trying to clear up this discrepancy with having a name that's not the same as what's on your birth certificate, or not the same as what's on your social security card, or even on your driver's license for that matter. Address history is something that I see a lot of people getting tripped up by. Like I stated earlier, they have multiple addresses that are listed on the credit report, and some of those addresses are addresses that they previously stayed at. And one of the things that your mortgage lender is going to want to know is, hey, did you have ownership in any of the properties that are listed on your credit report, or were these all rentals? They're going to want some explanation, a letter of explanation for these addresses that are all showing up on your credit report. Save yourself the headache now and get those corrected, or have them removed. You can send in the letter to the credit reporting agencies to have those items removed from your credit. And again, you can use the online method to contact them online as well, but you want to take action to make sure that inaccurate information is corrected on your credit report so that it doesn't end up causing you issues later, because the majority of Americans have at least one or more items reporting inaccurately on their credit report. And you want to make sure that whatever it is for you that's reporting inaccurately gets corrected so it doesn't hurt you in the future. So moving on from there, I already talked about correcting all incorrect information on your credit report. So disputing items, this is another way that you can help improve your credit score. There's a lot of ways that you can go about disputing credit items. Sometimes people go with the online method of disputing because a lot of creditors and credit reporting agencies as well have ways that you can go online to dispute items. I personally recommend, if you want to dispute something, to send a actual physical letter into the credit reporting agencies so that they can it will get read by an actual person, not AI, not some system that's just reading through, whatever answers or information you put in there and categorizing it and, pushing it through the pipeline, basically. You want an actual physical person reading that letter and doing something with the information then in it. So I highly recommend writing a dispute letter. There are templates that you can get for the dispute letters as well. I've handed out templates to people as well that they can utilize to be able to dispute information on their credit reports. So that's one thing. Another thing with disputes is that you can dispute items that are, you can dispute items directly with the creditors, which are the entities that you actually signed the paperwork with when you got the loan or the credit card or whatever it is. But you can also dispute with the credit bureaus, as they're known, but as they're referred to by law, the credit reporting agencies. You can dispute information directly with the credit reporting agencies as well. And so some people have had success disputing and getting items removed from the credit report by disputing with the creditors. Others have disputed directly with the credit reporting agencies and had success. Some people dispute both simultaneously, and that's something that you have the ability to do as well. You can go and dispute with both the credit reporting agency and the creditor, and people have had success that way. So there's no one right way to do it. It just kind of all depends on your situation and, I guess who also is opening up those dispute letters. But you can take either route, but you do have that option available to you to dispute items that are on your credit report. Now, what are we disputing? We're disputing things such as late payments. And that's one thing that I highly recommend you dispute are your late payments, because that is, as we showed you earlier in the first slide, the biggest thing that's affecting your credit score is the payment history. That's 35% of your payment, of your credit, FICO credit score is payment history. Late payments is a factor of your payment history. So if you have late payments showing up on your credit report, you want those things to be gone, because that's something that is hurting you and hurting your ability to be able to qualify for a mortgage or to be able to get the better interest rates that are going to save you the hundreds of dollars a month, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars over the years. So disputing late payments is something you can do. You can dispute items to have them completely removed. Let's say you have incorrect items that are reporting incorrectly on your credit report. You can get that incorrect information, you can dispute that incorrect information and have it correctly reported, or you can have entire items removed from your credit. You can have collections removed from your credit. You can have charge-offs removed from your credit. You can have so many things removed from your credit through disputing those items that are on your credit. This is your credit report. This is the report of how you look to a lender when you're going to apply for a loan. You want that report to look as good as possible to save you money and get you that approval. So take charge and take ownership over your credit report and make sure that you're tapping into the resources that you have to be able to get your credit in shape so that you can get that approval that you're seeking. And lastly, you can negotiate payoff for deletion. This is another option that you have in order to help improve your credit score, is to negotiate with the creditor a payoff amount for deletion. So what does that look like? Let's say that you have, let's say that you owe $2,000 to a creditor and it's sitting in collection. And you don't have $2,000 that you can pay to that collector or to that creditor. So you can contact that creditor and say, hey, I don't have $2,000, but I have $1,000. I've got $750. I've got $1,500. Whatever the amount is that you're able to pay, you can contact them and negotiate with them. This is what I have, and if I pay you this, then will you accept it as the full balance of everything that I owe you being paid in full, and will you remove this item from my credit report? That's the key that you actually want to make sure you negotiate in there, is for that item to be removed from your credit report. If they say yes, we'll take the $750 and we'll say we're good, you don't owe us the rest of it, or we'll take the $1,000 and you don't owe us the full $2,000. The next thing you want to do is make sure that you get that in writing, because if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist, and the creditor you can send them money and they can easily say, you know what, we never had any agreement. I don't know who you spoke with. I don't have anything stating that we would abide by removing an item from your credit report. So you can ask them to, you want to ask them to remove it from your credit report. And if they say no, then, you know, you can continue the negotiation to see, hey, what amount can I give you to, I don't have the full 2,000. This is what I'm able to do, but you know, you can continue the negotiation process to see what is it that you're able to get to in order to be able to pay them. And also another thing that I want to include in that is that you want to list a time in there as well. You don't want this to be like I can pay you over the next 6 months. I can pay you over the next year. Ideally, if you can pay them in the next 2 weeks, that would be great. 30 days tops is what I recommend. But you want to say, hey, I can give you your money by the end of the next 2 weeks, you know, whatever amount you negotiate, if you remove this from my credit. And if they agree to remove it from your credit, again, make sure you get that in writing. But that's negotiating a payoff for deletion. If they don't agree to delete it, if they negotiate a payoff, but they say we're not going to remove it from your credit report, that's a decision that you're going to have to, you know, weigh in on. If you want to at least get the debt taken care of, you can do that and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to at least get the debt taken care of so I don't owe you anymore. And you can always dispute the item later as well to try and have that removed from your credit report. But if you want to at least get the debt taken care of, you can do that as well. One last thing I do want to make sure I mention is that when you dispute an item on your credit report, if you get a collection or a charge off or something removed from your credit, that does not absolve you from any obligation that you have to the creditor that you signed documents with that you would pay money to. If you owe a creditor $3,000, $5,000, $1,000, $500, whatever it is, just because you have that item removed from your credit report doesn't mean that you no longer owe that entity, that company or corporation. It just means that what you owe them is not negatively impacting your credit profile. So it's not stopping you from being able to continue to move forward with purchasing a home or doing other things that you want to do in the line of, you know, getting a loan or having access to credit. That company could still, you know, take you to court essentially and say, hey, you owe us money, even if it's not on your credit report, because you signed documents and you said you would pay. We gave you the money, you haven't paid, so you still owe us. It does not absolve you from what you quote unquote owe them. However, what it does do is it just does not allow what you may owe a company to prevent you from being able to continue forward with your life, grow, and prosper in terms of, you know, being able to get loans for homes and other types of lines of credit. So moving on from there, difference maker. So this is one slide I like to put up because it talks a lot about the difference that having great credit can make. And down payment assistance. If you have great credit, you can get $10,000 or more in down payment assistance. There are so many down payment assistance programs out there that you can tap into, but a lot of them have a credit score requirement. So if you have a down payment assistance program, but the requirement is a 640 credit score and you've got a 580 or you got a 600, then you're not going to qualify for that down payment assistance program. Meaning that if that down payment assistance program was offering $15,000, $20,000, I've seen a couple of them that offer $20,000 toward down payment assistance to be able to purchase a home. You're not going to be able to tap into any of that money if you don't have the credit score. So that's one difference that it can make. Another one is a lower interest rate. 1% can equal thousands of dollars when it comes to you being able to save money and allocate that money towards helping you to just grow and prosper financially as well. And on the next slide, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into that. So I only have one more slide after this as well, just so you know we're about to wrap it up because I try to keep these at 30 minutes or less. But higher purchase price, higher DTI. DTI is an acronym in the mortgage industry for debt to income. And so you can have a higher debt to income ratio. What that means is that, let's say that 100% of your monthly income is $10,000 a month. So if 100% of your monthly income is $10,000 a month, and that means that 50% of your income is $5,000 a month. If you have great credit, you might be able to get up to a 50% debt to income ratio, which means that 50% of your income, that $5,000 for the purpose of this example, can be utilized for debt, meaning that up to $5,000 can be used for mortgage payment, car note, credit cards, student loans, whatever debts you have that are reporting on your credit report. Up to 50% of that information, or up to 50% of your income, can be utilized to go out toward paying debt collectively. If you have, let's say, a 600 credit score, you might not be able to get up to that 50% mark. You might be more so stuck at the 30% or 28% or 35%. It might be something less, which means that you don't qualify for as much home because you can't use as much of your income to qualify because your credit is not as good. So that's something else that makes a difference when it comes to having good credit, is that you can actually have higher approval amounts. You can utilize more of your income to qualify for being able to get a mortgage, being able to purchase a car, whatever it might be. So that's something that you want to keep in mind as well. Last slide, the 1% difference. This slide's going to go quick, but I love bringing up this slide because it paints the picture of what 1% difference makes. So $200 or more per month in a mortgage payment is what 1% can do. That's the difference between you getting a 6% versus a 5% interest rate. The difference between you getting a 7% versus a 6% interest rate. That can make a $200 or more difference on your monthly payment. So what could you do with an extra $200 a month that you're not having to give to a lender? You could have that money sitting in your pocket. That gives you more disposable income. So over the course of 5 years, that's $12,000 or more that you can utilize, or that you would have in your pocket, rather than over that course of that 5-year period having to pay $12,000 to a lender, just so you could, get a mortgage or whatever it is. So that's just a 1% difference that it makes. But also, it can affect you to the tune of $30,000 or more in purchasing power. What does that mean? So if you qualify for a $300,000 home at a 6% interest rate, let's say you improve your credit and now you're able to get a 5% interest rate. Now that 1% less that you're able to get means that instead of a $300,000 home, now you could qualify for a $330,000 home potentially. So that $330,000 home that you now can qualify for, that could help put you in the home of your dreams. That $30,000 could be the difference between you purchasing the home that you just like, or the home that you love. And that amount could also go up. Let's say that you qualify for a $400,000 home. that 1% difference might be closer to $35,000 that it could make the difference. Now you could qualify for a $435,000 home instead of a $400,000 home and keep a similar monthly payment as well. The mortgage payment, keep in mind, this is not increasing your mortgage payment. This is because you have a lower interest rate. Your monthly payment is lower, which means that you can actually qualify for more home to keep the same monthly payment as what you would have had qualifying for the lesser expensive home with a higher interest rate. I know that was a lot, but in short, having a lower interest rate allows you to be able to qualify for a higher priced home without having to increase your monthly mortgage payment. And that's huge. So you're talking about 30,000 or more that you could potentially qualify for when you're looking to purchase a home by just having credit that's good enough to get you a lower interest rate. And having a good credit can get you access to some of those loan programs and everything that will get you those lower interest rates as well. So you want to keep that in mind because 1% can make all the difference in the world. It can also make the difference between whether or not you even qualify for a home, because you might not qualify at all for a home that's affordable in your area. However, get your credit straight. Now you qualify for a lower interest rate, and now you actually can qualify to purchase a home. And you get started on your home ownership journey, building up that equity that's helping you to use that first home as a stepping stone to getting to the next home that's going to open up the doors to your dream home. There are so many things that you can do, but it starts with you having good credit that can get your foot in the door to now access all of these savings and benefits that come along with it. So if you haven't gotten the picture by now, it's worth it to work on your credit. You don't have to pay for credit repair. There are some good credit repair companies out there. There's some good credit education out there where individuals that won't do your credit for you, or they won't repair your credit for you, but they'll educate you, because everything that a credit repair company can do for you, you can do for yourself. There's nothing that a credit repair company can do for you that you're not able to do for yourself. The thing is that most individuals don't have the knowledge on what it is that they need to do in order to improve their credit. So that's why they tend to default to a credit repair company to just do all the work for them. And they spend hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars even, to get their credit repaired. I'm not saying that it's a waste of money if you get hooked up with a credit repair company that's actually doing a good job of removing items from your credit report and helping you to repair your credit. Because as you can see here in this example, that can literally mean hundreds of dollars every single month that you could be saving, just by, even though you had to spend, $1,000 on credit repair or $500 or $200 on credit education. And you thereby went and took that education and repaired your own credit. Even spending that money, you get that back leaps and bounds over and over again, because now you're in a position to where you can save those hundreds of dollars every single month, or you can purchase that home that you really would like to purchase that's $30,000, $20,000, $35,000, maybe even $40,000 higher, and now you can qualify to purchase that home without having to increase your monthly payment any. And so that money that you spend on repairing your credit, if you choose to, spend money to get your credit repaired, does come back to you. But at a bare minimum, get educated and take ownership over your credit, because that's going to be something that ultimately is going to be your foot in the door to really help you be able to accomplish so many things in the realm of home ownership, even outside of home ownership. I harp on home ownership because I'm a mortgage loan officer, also a realtor. So I harp on homes because that's the biggest investment that most people will make in their life. But you just want to make sure that you do what you need to do to get your credit right. Get educated on what it's going to take to get your credit better, improve your credit, get up above 700 into the 800s in your credit score, so that you can really get that those low interest rates. You can get access to all of the great loan programs that are going to give you all of the grant money, the down payment assistance money. So that's not $10,000 that you have to come out of pocket with for a down payment. That's going to be given to you in down payment assistance. That's not $15,000 or $20,000 that you have to come up to the table with closing costs, because there's a grant out there that you can take advantage of, and that's going to be the money that you're going to use to be able to purchase that home. So you can keep your hard-earned money in the bank and invest it in other things, not just letting it sit in the bank, but you can find other ways to grow and build your money, so that is building your wealth overall and not just sitting in equity in your home. Nothing wrong with having a ton of equity sitting in home. I personally have a lot of equity sitting at home as well, and I'm fine letting it sit there. But what I'm not fine doing is just letting a lot of money sit in the bank when I don't have to. You know, if I've got something that I can do that's going to help it to grow, that's a better place to put it, in my opinion. And so getting access to some of that down payment assistance and everything starts with you having good credit, and also getting access to those lower interest rates, which are going to save you thousands on your monthly mortgage payments, and allow you to have higher purchasing power as well without increasing those monthly payments. That's what is going to open up the door for you for having that great credit. So that's what I have for you this evening. I went a little bit over, but I had a lot of good information I wanted to share. I do try to keep these at 30 minutes, but I'm a little bit longer this evening. But thank you for taking the time to tune in. I greatly appreciate it. I'll be back here every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure that you tune in, because I am putting out every single Tuesday information that's going to save you hundreds of dollars a month, thousands of dollars a year, or over the years when it comes to you purchasing a home. And you don't want to be spending money that you don't have to spend. You don't want to be giving money to lenders. You want to be utilizing your money wisely and utilizing your time wisely. So I want to give you the tips and the tricks, and that's what I'm doing here every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, stay updated on all the other content that I'm pushing out, and be here next Tuesday so that you can get some more of this great information that's going to help move you along on your home ownership journey. That's what I have for you. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. Take care, be blessed, and we'll see you next week.